This weekend on Simone, we are taking you on the journey to Juneteenth. All persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people, whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, shall be then thenceforward and forever free. These were the words of the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation issued by Abraham Lincoln on September 22nd, 1862. 100 days later, on January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln kept his word and issued what we know today as the Emancipation Proclamation. With the adoption of the 13th Amendment on December 6, 1865, the abolishment of slavery was codified in the United States Constitution. Now, after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, the news of freedom spread throughout the country. But it was not until June 19th, 1865, that the good news made its way to Galveston, Texas. In our current political climate, y'all, Juneteenth feels a little heavier this year. There is a movement in our country to strike this very history from our public discourse, from book bans to the removal of African-American studies in public schools, and teachers threatened with losing their jobs just for educating their students. So this year, we are marking the 3rd anniversary of the federal holiday with a special about the journey to Juneteenth and an exclusive interview at the National Museum of African American History and Culture with the museum's current director, Kevin Young. Now, the museum tells the story of America through the lens of African Americans. Director Young took me on a tour through various exhibits as we discussed the events, the people, and the places that led to June 19th, 1865. Here is just a piece of our wide-ranging conversation. Take a look. We are here at the National Museum of African American History and Culture.
Absolutely.
With the Director Kevin Young. And I'm happy, first of all, I've been to the museum a billion times. This will be my first guided tour of the museum. And I can't think of a better person to take me through it. We wanted to come to the museum because obviously Juneteenth is coming up.
Yes.
And I think this is only the 3rd year that it will be an official federal holiday,
That's
an official celebration. Folks that we know have been celebrating for a long time,
That's
though.
right.
And I don't know if everybody really knows the history of Juneteenth, where it came from,
Sure.
why it's an important part of the American story, the American fabric. And here in one of the People's Museums, I thought it's a good place we could start.
Absolutely. Well, it's so good to be with you. You know, my great-grandfather celebrated Juneteenth in northern Louisiana.
Oh, wow.
Starting in the 20s, 30s, he would make homemade ice cream, crank it out, if you ever had that deliciousness, and tell them the story of Juneteenth, which is the story of the news of emancipation reaching the enslaved in Galveston, Texas in 1865. Now, this is 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. So here we are after emancipation has been declared, but folks are still toiling enslaved. And so it's both a celebration of that moment of freedom, but also of freedom denied. And I think that complexity of the holiday is actually really beautiful. I mean, it's mostly just food and freedom and good red drink, but that kind of celebration always has this thoughtfulness behind it.
I feel like that's also like the story of this museum as well. The museum is a story of struggle, but also of freedom, of triumph.
Well, it took 100 years to build it. The first request for a memorial to honor African Americans on the Mall was in 1915. Civil War veterans, 50 years after the Civil War, said, hey, we need a space on the National Mall. And it took John Lewis and others putting in that legislation starting in the 80s. I think he put it in 19 times before it was signed into law in 2003 by President George W. Bush. To be here on the National Mall in the shadow of the Washington Monument, and the tiles outside the museum are the same exact angle as the top of that monument, is really to be in that conversation over a long time. And just, it's a story of triumph, but also of toil. And I think Juneteenth is that too.
A story of triumph and toil. Okay, so if we're going to start to tell the story of Juneteenth,
sure.
Obviously, Juneteenth is directly connected to the issue of slavery.
It is.
Okay.
It's tied to slavery and freedom. And I think those things are interrelated, what we call the paradox of liberty in the museum. And I think you see that very much in the slave cabin we're about to see.
I don't think a lot of people know, though, that nearly half of the enslaved people that were brought to this country came through the port of Charleston in South Carolina.
They sure did. I think it's even more than half. Charleston was the entry point and the dissemination point of the enslaved across the country. This is the Point of Pines cabin from Edisto Island, South Carolina. It was disassembled by our team, but also by the people who had lived and whose family had lived in this cabin over generations. I think what you notice, of course, is this door, this entryway, which never had a physical door on it during enslavement. If you can see in just a little bit, that's what the overseers or the slaveholders would do, is look in. They would monitor activity of the enslaved. And there's nothing more symbolic than this other door, which the enslaved cut. As soon as emancipation hit South Carolina, they cut another door with an actual physical door on it so they could go in and out at their leisure. And that is really a symbol of freedom.
Oh, wow. Point of Pines cabin.
And I think the other thing we should remember is this cabin was lived by people, descendants, until about 15, 20 years ago.
I'm sorry, 15, 20 years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wait now.
So this provided shelter, but it also gives you a sense of how enslavement links to our housing conditions today, questions of redlining and other limitations on Black housing. This is what we're talking about when we talk about that, and that long legacy that slavery leaves. And the family was some of the people who helped with the disassembling and reassembling of this lovingly in the museum.
It was getting good, right? Many thanks to Kevin Young, director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Don't worry, folks. We will have much more of our conversation tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern on MSNBC. Our full special is also now streaming on Peacock. You can